So hello everyone. My name is Shanti Das. I am the founder and executive director of Silence and Shame Incorporated, and I am super excited that my good friend Jennifer Leff called me from the Recording Academy of MusiCares to partner once again for our panel that we've been doing now. This is our third one with MusiCares, and it is the soundtrack of mental health, volume 3. Mental wellness in the Black community. And I think this is very timely. And again, Silence and Shame is just grateful to be able to partner. So I'd like to introduce my dear friend, Jennifer Leff.
Thank you, Shanti. My name is Jennifer. I am in New York. And a little bit about MusiCares. We are the charity of the Recording Academy, and we provide a safety net of assistance to music makers. And so that means anyone from the singer to the songwriter, to the engineer, to the promoter, to the bus driver. We are able to help during times of struggle. This certainly is one of them. We assist with basic living needs. We facilitate access to medical care. We do a lot around addiction and recovery support, and certainly mental health. In the chat, I will put our webpage and my contact number if anybody has any questions. No doubt we have seen an uptick in the music industry around mental health awareness. Even though we've seen an uptick, we need to continue the conversations, and that's with the Black community and every community that may not necessarily have such an easy time talking about mental health. And a lot of people, no matter what color, race, what have you, nobody has an easy time. So we have to continue this conversation, whether it be front of house, back of house, management, labels. Let's encourage everyone in the music stratosphere to use words like depression, anxiety, these words that I think are sometimes taboo, and normalize the discussions. So as Shanti said, I'm incredibly grateful to Silence the Shame for partnering with us and bringing together this amazing panel and doing a deep dive into mental health and the Black community. So let's continue talking to each other, listening to each other, and asking each other if we're okay, and move on to why you're really here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jen. And this is extremely important to me because I'm a music industry child, or a child of the music industry, if you will. I got my start back in the early 90s working at Capitol Records and worked my way up for, over 25 years, and ended as executive vice president at Universal Motown. And then decided to move back home to Atlanta and did some consulting, started some live music events here in the Atlanta area. But to be able to now share my story and journey around emotional health and wellness with my dad taking his own life, my best friend taking her own life, and my own suicidal ideation in 2015, this work is so important to me. And I think this pandemic has really shown everyone something that I've been saying for a very long time, that we all have mental health. We may not all have a mental illness. And so again, just thank you everyone for logging in, for tuning in to the soundtrack of Mental Health Volume 3. We have a stellar lineup of panelists today. I'm super excited and very grateful. I want to shout out Byron Wright and Dee Dee Murray, who helped me to secure some of our music panelists, and then my good friends, my esteemed licensed mental health professionals that always support Silence and Shame. So first, I'm going to start. I'll say who you are, and then I'll let you give about 30 seconds of your background. So I would like to start with ladies first, with Dr. Erica Goodwin, who is a psychiatrist in the Atlanta area, and is just an amazing person. Thank you, Erica, for being here, or Dr. Goodwin, I should say.
I answered all of it. So thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be a part of this event. As Shanti said, my name is Dr. Ericka Goodwin. I'm a Harvard-trained, double board certified psychiatrist and integrative wellness coach. I'm actually usually on a mission to help women feel seen, valued, and whole on their own terms. But today it just doesn't matter your gender. Another thing I'm very passionate about is helping people find a way to make it through all of this chaos with their sanity intact. So I also have, let's see, what do I do? This is what happens when you get home from work late. is I also have an adult telepsychiatry practice, and I'm licensed in multiple states. So I see people other places than just Georgia. So thanks again for having me.
Thank you again for being here. Next up, we have my dear friend and colleague, and he's also a committee member for about 3 years now for Silence is Shame, and recently received his doctorate. So we are super proud of this young man. Let's welcome Dr. Vaughn Gay.
Thank you, Shanti. You always just show me so much love. I really appreciate it. And thank you for having me a part of this panel once again, and really allowing us to have an opportunity to speak towards mental health and the impact of getting treatment and getting therapy and how they will have just long-term benefits for people and their families. My name is Dr. Vaughn Gay. I am a doctor of social work and a licensed professional counselor in the city of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm the executive director of Holistic Atlanta, which is a comprehensive mental health and psychological service that provides mental health assessments, treatment plans, biopsychosocials, long-term therapy, counseling, anger management, just the full gamut of psychological services. And as you said, Shanti, I'm also I can't believe it's been 3 years already, as a community partner with Silence is Shame. So just, very appreciative of having another opportunity to be able to communicate with individuals and get some of this good word out to those who are in attendance right now.
Thank you again, Dr. Gay. Next up, we have artist manager extraordinaire, Christopher Patterson. Hello, young man.
How are you doing, Shanti?
How you doing?
Doing well.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Christopher.
I am a manager and producer of all things. I'm also a tour manager, production manager. A lot of the R&B acts that you see and listen to, I handle their tours or their productions. Lots of live events here in Atlanta. Actually, I've worked on a couple of things with Shanti, with some of the events she was doing. So when I was with Wonderland as well. So Wonderland Management, Wonderland Records, also my company, The Big Fantastic. So I've produced things around the world, and I've been dad and leader to some of your favorite artists as they travel around the world.
Thank you again. And thank you for all that you've done with me, for the things that I was involved with. And I'm super proud of you and glad to see things are going so well for you right now.
Thank you.
Next up, we have an amazing producer who's really making a name for himself right now. And I think is really on the cusp of doing some more incredible things. Let's welcome Bandon Phillips Taylor.
Hey, Shanti, thank you for having me. Bandon Phillips Taylor, producer, engineer, musician. I specialize more in artist development, helping artists find their sound, their voice. That's what I do. Thank you for having me again.
Again, I'm grateful to have you on here, and I'm really looking forward to your insight around this topic. I think you're going to help a lot of your peers and a lot of people in the business.
Thank you.
So let's jump right in. I want to start with you, Dr. Gay. Can you talk about how this pandemic has disproportionately affected the Black community and how we've really seen an increase in anxiety and depression in our community? Because I know for one, the last 6 months have been really challenging just as a human being, right? And what it has done for Black people that have been suffering and dying, unfortunately, from COVID-19, and then what it has done for professionals, whether you are in the entertainment business or a small business owner, or an essential worker. I mean, it's just so much stress and pressure, right, on us. And we're just seeing so much hurt in our community. Can you talk about that, Dr. Gay?
It's the age-old saying, when America catches a cold, Black America catches the flu, right? So we experience just any type of disparity or any type of major catastrophe. We experience it at a high level, at a more intense level. Culturally, we have a sense of collectivism, and we like to come together, whether it's through family, business, or even just through our casual engagement. And just this isolation is really taking us away from one of the major tenets within our community, and just being able to have that interaction. So that isolation can automatically, within any individual, no matter which culture or race, it can really kind of lead to some onset of some depression or low mood, low affect, or even just sadness, and not really understanding where that's coming from. The built environment that a lot of people are in right now, it may not be the most encouraging, or it may not be conducive to wellness overall. When you think about a lot of kids, right? When we send kids to school, some of those kids that come from low-income neighborhoods or working-class families, they're going to school and may get the majority of their meals at school. They're in an enriching, supportive environment. And, now being taken away from that is having a major impact on them. So even in clinical sessions, I'm seeing a lot of onset of depression within children, teenagers and adolescents. We know that they tend to engage in a lot more risky behaviors, and we're seeing an increase in that. And even just with adults, couples are having major issues, having to balance working at home and having to take care of their children. They spend a lot more time around each other than they normally would. And so there have been some issues with couples that we've been seeing as well. But just in terms of professionals, within the Black community, we tend to have a higher percentage of working class jobs, frontline jobs, and service industry jobs. And so a lot of those individuals lost their jobs when the pandemic broke out. Those were the first ones to lose their jobs. Mm-hmm. And those that didn't, they typically were the ones that had to be out, in the workforce and exposing themselves to COVID, whether it's with our Uber drivers or whether that's with hospital workers or our sanitation workers. They never got a break. And so, just a high sense of anxiety, worry, and concern, not really knowing what's going to happen next. We know that they're trying to get a lot of individuals from the Black community within the COVID vaccine trials. We know our history with the medical industry has us in a place of angst and really not sure if we want to be able to be, the guinea pigs or on the front lines of testing with that. But as medical practitioners, we understand that the way research works, if we don't have participation from our community in those clinical trials, we never will know if the vaccine works for us, and that potentially, we may end up seeing even more devastating results from COVID. So, although mentally, we've gotten into a little bit of a groove and have figured out how to get back to some sense of normalcy, being detached, or even doing things like these panels and kind of re-engaging one another. We need to understand that the pandemic, is conducive to the fact that COVID is very real. It's still having a major impact on our communities, and we don't need to turn a blind eye to it.
Absolutely. Thank you for that insight. Dr. Goodwin, would you like to add anything to that?
Dr. Gay did such a great job. The only thing I would add is I think what's made this situation even more complicated is that this pandemic isn't happening in a vacuum. Mm-hmm. So you're taking people that most likely, especially in our community, that were already stressed. You add this pandemic and all the stressors that come with it. Then you add the fact that there was an uptick in a lot of racial injustice, and it was just done in a way that people didn't really have an emotional reserve. Mm-hmm. So when we started having that next round of killings, that people literally had nothing left in the tank, and you're seeing a lot of people that are Black or in the African diaspora just literally feeling emotionally done. And I think that's what's even shifting the tone of it is, number one, it's the length of this pandemic, that especially people that didn't necessarily have some of the inside knowledge I might have from being a physician and being amongst a bunch of people that are COVID experts, is that I think a lot of people originally, when things shut down, their expectation was, oh, this will be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and we'll be done. And now we're in October, and even though they're opening up places, this is nowhere in the vicinity.
Hi. Hi, I'm so sorry I'm late.
No, you're good. You're right on time. We were just...
First of all, I'm premiering a new color, and you guys are the first to see it.
Well, we love it. We love it. We were just in the middle of something real quick with Dr. Goodwin, and then I'm going to introduce you and let you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, okay?
Yeah, for sure. You all look very great, Dr. Goodwin. I think, I don't want to say Dad's wrong name, Chris. Brandon, hi. I'm excited to be here.
And we're grateful to have you. Thank you so much, Kodie.
No, thank you.
Dr. Goodwin?
I'm just excited about my hair, so.
You look good, girl.
Thank you, sis.
So that was pretty much it. It's just that this is all very additive, that it's hard to separate one thing from the other, and then the length of time this is going on, it's causing people to have to stretch in ways that they most likely would not have had to stretch in.
For sure. And it's also making me think like, okay, I love music and that's my passion, but I don't know what's going to happen to the world. So now I have to branch out and stretch in different ways that I didn't think I would have to.
That's right.
Because
Kodie, why don't you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself in 30 seconds or less, and then I have a question specifically for you.
Okay. I'm 21 years old. I'll be 22 October 28. Yay. Obviously it's no more baby Kodie, it's grown up Kodie. I think I'm in my 6th to 7th year of music now. And I believe in the long road. I don't want to argue with any rap girl to go viral. I don't want to shake my ass. I don't want to show my titties. Excuse my language. I literally just want to be me, and I want to show the kids that it's okay to do that. You know, like it's okay because it's only one you. If we all focus on being ourselves, then we'll all be ourselves. But you know, and I've done 8 tours. I've done Teen Vogue. I've done the Real Vogue. I was the little black girl in the corner, but I was still very thankful. Galore, the cover of Galore. I've done the Billboard Fest, and I've never been on Billboard. I had a crazy spread in Out magazine. I had a crazy
You've done a lot, girl.
America. I've done 4 to 5 Rolling Louds. I'm just I don't even care about the credit at this point because it's gonna come. Like they gonna see it one day and they're gonna be like, man. Once I blow up, they're gonna be like, man, she did all this and we wasn't tuned in. Yeah.
Well, they're learning about you, and I kudos and much respect on all that you've accomplished at such a young age. I want to ask you, Kodie, can you talk about how this pandemic has been tough for you, and have you felt anxious at times, or dealt with any stress or tough times throughout these last 6 months?
Well, I've definitely done with some stress based off the fact that this is how I make my money. You know what I mean? Like, if I don't there's other ways to make money, but one of my biggest sources of income is obviously touring and on the road. So let's say, for an example, I did the Trippy tour. Let's just throw a number out there. I bought $10,000 worth of merch, right? Mm-hmm. And off that $10,000, I can make back 30. So then the show gets canceled. Mm-hmm. So now I'm sitting at home with $10,000 worth of merch. I can't go outside and sell it. I can't. So I just really lost 10. I just lost the opportunity on 30 and lost 10 completely. You know what I mean? So stuff like that. But then, other blessings come. I can't say that it was a complete. I can't say it completely hurt me because other blessings came. Like, if you can see, I got this house during quarantine. I got my first car during quarantine. Hold on, let me flip my camera for you guys so you can see what Epic the label sent me for quarantine. And this is one of my biggest thank yous to Epic. I wanted a home studio all my life.
Oh, that's awesome.
And now I have everything. I don't have to go anywhere. I have the top of the line, everything. I'm on the newest app. I'm on the newest computer. I have the newest speakers, the newest Apollo, the newest compressor. I have everything. I have the Newman mic. So that's one really big blessing that came out of it. And I also think it kind of, I feel like God was trying to tell me to hone in. You know what I mean? I think he was trying to tell all of us to hone in and figure out what you're going to do if the world stops.
That's right. That's right.
So, but I definitely think it was, I don't know. I don't think Corona was in terms of the industry, it took a huge hit to the industry. But in terms of personal life and family life, I think that it was good for the whole world.
Yeah, I agree. But I know that a lot of people have kind of, suffered.
Yeah, the industry's fucked up. Excuse my language.
Let me take it to Christopher real quick. Can you talk about how stressful you think some of this may have been, even just for managers, right? And tour managers and folks that are roadies, and to Kodie's point, tours being canceled. I mean, that has to weigh down on your emotional health and wellness. So Christopher, can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris?
Absolutely. As a manager, I have to look at my artists and say, everything's gonna be okay.
Right.
You don't know if everything's gonna be okay. Or touring will come back sometime, and really true touring isn't coming back till 2022.
Right.
So you have to take off that business hat and become a lot more personal and have those conversations and say, what are we going to do to get through this? Because you have to have those conversations about, some artists were like, I don't want to drop music right now. Mm-hmm. I don't feel it. Not only is I can't tour, I can't go outside, the world has stopped, but they're killing Black people in the street. Mm-hmm. I think now's the time to drop music, right?
What I can say, I don't want to cut you off, but what I can say, that was very beautiful what you just said.
Yeah, you have to be real about it. We can look at, here's really what it is. The contract is a limited amount of time, but the art that the artists make is forever. So it's for them to make their best art, or for them to really speak about the moment that they're in. They have to have that space and that
energy.
support.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have real support. Like what's going on right now isn't easy for the artist. It isn't easy for the manager. It isn't easy for the consumer.
And I feel like a lot of, I'm not to cut you off, I'm just going to go back and forth. I want to talk to you about it. I feel like a lot of managers, a lot of people feel like, okay, well, you can get on your internet and just go hard on the internet right now, but that wasn't what we signed up for. You know what I'm saying? I signed up to be an artist. Like, I'm funny, I'm charismatic. You guys love me. Hi, I'm Kodie Shane. But I want to make music, and I'm a performer first. I'm an entertainer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, like you said before, it does put a lot of pressure on the artists that people don't even really understand.
Yeah.
They think, well, y'all don't got to do shit. All y'all got to do is get on the ground. Nah, that's not really what we want to do. You know what I'm saying? We can't do what we want to do. So I think
everybody needs grace right now. Like artists, managers, people.
Everybody what? You broke up. I'm sorry.
Say everybody needs a little bit of grace right now. Like,
yeah, everyone
needs grace. Like there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of outside forces. Everybody needs a little bit of grace right now. I'm
sorry, my dog is a little bit crazy when people walk in the house. Baby! Hey, bring baby to me. Bring baby to me. Come here, daddy. Come here, daddy. Come here, daddy. Come say hi.
Go ahead, Christopher.
I think the key word, like I said, the key word or the key thing that everybody needs to focus on is grace. Like having grace with themselves, having grace with their colleagues and their partners, having grace with their producers or the people on the road. Everybody needs grace. And it's frustrating, the economy that we live in, the world that we live in, the country that we live in. So we have to give ourselves grace to deal with those things and have an open mind about how to move next.
It's deeper than just the music, I feel like. It's like literally the whole world may change.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna have to wear this every day.
Mm-hmm.
We're just trying to make sure that we're wearing it to keep everybody safe right now.
Yeah, I agree with that, but it's like the whole world might change. The whole world. And it's a scary feeling.
Absolutely. And I know it's scary for a lot of artists. And I've seen even before the pandemic hit, I'm going to go to Dr. Goodwin next. Just certainly in my career span and working in music and entertainment, we see a lot of artists and executives that self-medicate. And I'm not judging, I'm not here to judge, but just what they're doing is they're masking their problems around mental health and emotional health and wellness. Dr. Goodwin, can you talk about the dangers of self-medicating as you are a medical doctor? Not a lot of people understand that psychiatrists are medical doctors. So in addition to being able to talk to clients, they can prescribe medication and just, talk about the importance of having healthy coping mechanisms.
Well, I think one of the complicated things about self-medicating is when people self-medicate, they don't usually get to an endpoint of wellness. Mm-hmm. Self-medicate, I can't even talk today. You just got to give me a little grace on the fact that I am tongue-tied today. Is that self-medicating is a momentary solution that's not even really a solution. So the problem is people self-medicate and then whatever they self-medicated with, once it's out of their system, they're still stuck with whatever they were trying to fix.
Still stuck with the feeling that they had before they self-medicate.
Right. That's right. And the thing that happens with a lot of substances that people self-medicate with is that they literally will make everything worse afterwards. So, substances like that are
down the line,
like cocaine or things like that, then people crash. People have all these feelings, and a lot of times people will have more intense emotions afterwards, then have the biological consequences of having used, along with the fact that anyone that's doing anything, but especially when you look at people in the music field, you all are creative, you have to make content, make things work. It takes a certain amount.
A lot of pressure.
It takes a certain amount of cognitive ability to do what everyone in these fields do. Well, if you're self-medicating and you're not going to be thinking clear, so you're not going to have the clarity to do things at your best.
See, for me, can I say weed on here?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Oh, so for me, weed keeps me sane. All the other stuff, I feel like people are just going a little bit too hard on it. I think that it starts with fun. Sometimes. A lot of times we are masking our emotions. I'll speak for my generation. We go through hi Dr. Gay, I didn't see you down there. But I feel like a lot of times we are masking our emotions because things are heavy and we deal with a lot more than you guys did when you guys were younger, because it's not like you could get on the internet and see 1,000 horrible things about you.
That's right. That's real.
Well,
A million horrible things about you. It wasn't like that back then. It's like you might go to school and hear like 4 bad things and come home and your mama be like, don't worry about them. But now we see it all day. Twitter is an app full of things that we did not ask to see, literally.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point, is that the self-medicating just masks things.
Exactly.
And part of the danger is then people can move from recreationally self-medicating to being full-fledged addicted.
So that's what I was about to say. Sometimes it starts as, we're masking our emotions and now we're addicted. And sometimes it starts as fun. It starts as fun, like we're just partying, we're just hanging out, and then it goes to.
And the other complicated thing about it, and I actually tell my clients this, is there's no honor amongst drug dealers these days. That what you thought you bought or what you thought someone gave you may not be that.
Mm-hmm.
They are lacing stuff with all kinds of craziness,
everything,
and putting all kinds of pills together. So the other thing is, if you didn't grow it yourself, you don't even know what you're taking.
Listen, Dr. Goodwin, I seen a Cheeto Puff pressed into the shape of a Xanax.
Oh, wow.
They can press up anything.
Let me just say this too. I think it's really important. I
saw it on the internet, by the way. I wasn't in person.
Gotcha. Gotcha. But I just want to say too, I've seen colleagues, family members that suffer with a mental illness, right?
Yeah.
And then they use recreational marijuana.
Right.
Again, like I said, no judgment here. People choose to do what they want to do in their lifestyles, but I want this panel, right, and this webinar to be informative so people at least have the facts and they are informed that sometimes marijuana and weed does not work the same with everyone's chemicals in their brain.
Everybody react different to everything.
And so I would love for Dr. Goodwin and Dr. Gay to just share a little bit of light around how that might not be the case for everyone and how you
Well, one of the huge things about weed.
Hold on, one quick sec, Kodie. Let me just let them speak to that real quick.
Yeah, my mom just told me I need to take a break on smoking because I just need to clear my mind. So that popped in my head when you said that.
I want you to hear what she has to say real quick.
Yeah.
And one of the first things about weed, especially in young people, is it can impair brain development. So it is scientifically proven that people's brains might not develop correctly when using weed when they're young.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that a lot of this substance abuse gets in the way of people's thoughts, but also can lead to impulsivity. That impulsivity puts people at higher risk for high-risk behaviors, from everything from self-injurious behavior to even attempting suicide, to things that people commonly talk about, like driving while intoxicated, by having sex with people they probably shouldn't or wouldn't otherwise. It just can lead to a lot of high-risk behaviors, and on the far end could end to death. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, one of the biggest things is we all, and I feel like I can speak for everyone on the panel with this, is that we want everyone not just to survive, we want people to be able to thrive. And to be able to thrive, you need to be able to get the appropriate treatment and help. And that it's not always medication. And Dr. Gay doesn't prescribe. I have a practice. My actual own practice that is mine, probably about at least 80% of my patients aren't even on medication. That there are a lot of things that can be done. And people,
that's amazing.
That's great.
And a lot of people aren't familiar with the wide variety of treatments for mental health that are out there, and also the fact that there are mental health presentations that are primarily from medical illnesses. So you'll have people whose thyroids are messed up. There are certain types of cancers. There are, even with blood pressure medications, people can sometimes get depressed. People with strokes and heart attacks get depressed. But there are a lot of other medical things. Hormone imbalances can cause it, especially like female hormones and those kinds of things. So it's important to have someone really assess you Because then you can actually get the treatment you need to get to where you want to be instead of spiraling down with self-medication. And then I'll turn it over to Dr. Gay.
Right.
Dr. Gay?
I feel like I have ADHD, but I won't go get the pills because I don't want to be on that. You know what I mean? I'd rather just try to handle my ADHD. So a lot of kids, I feel like they may feel like they have depression or ADHD. So now they've been on these ADHD pills since they were fucking 13 and now their mind is gone. So it's like, I don't know. It's weird out here.
And she actually brings up a good point, because a lot of people, you know, really do feel like that. They understand they do have an issue. They may want to try to go get some help, some assistance. But, you know, just you do hear some negative, you know, stories about people that are on psychotropic medications. They may have, so they, you know, the likelihood is small, but you do have some individuals, they may have some hallucinations, some delusions, things along those lines. However, there, you know, if you have really good medication management, which just means that you're communicating really well with your psychiatrist, there's a good relationship with the therapist. A lot of people are communicating on your team together and making sure that you're monitoring behaviors and monitoring your responses to medication. I think that that's a really good, it's an option, you know, just in case if you have a mental illness, or if you're in a space to where you just can't be able to pull yourself out of that without assistance. But to go back to what you were saying and really kind of bring it all the way back full circle when we're talking about at the crossroads of music and mental health, we're talking about individuals that are self-medicating. You know, the industry there you have a lot of behavioral patterns and rituals, right? You know, so even just the concept of wake and bacon, you know, just waking up and smoke some marijuana to get your day rolling. In other cultures, maybe they may drink a beer or have a drink of whiskey or something, a shot to kind of get their day, or even just a cup of coffee. You know, it's just kind of like that. You know, the tendency to kind of lean on marijuana. And even just, you know, when you're in the studio, there's a likelihood of people maybe drinking or smoking. Even if you look at, there was a little bit of an era where the double cup, right? You know, where people were drinking lean and just kind of, you know, doing the whole, it's really more of a cultural thing within entertainment, you know, and we really don't pay attention to how some of those behavioral patterns that we're using to get our minds right, to write our songs and get in the studio. I mean, that's really getting, you know, that's really, you know, you expressing your thoughts and maybe getting some depression and anxiety off of you. If we're doubling that up with, you know, drugs and alcohol, it can really have a major issue on your ability to be able to pull yourself out of that space if you do want to take on some traditional, more holistic approaches.
I can agree, because sometimes I feel like, okay, I need my red wine, I need my this, my that, so that I can make my song. And I've been trying to figure out, how can I make that song without all of that? You know what I mean? How can I make the same exact record without my red wine? You know what I mean?
Shanti, I was even going to ask.
Great point, Kodie.
I'm sorry.
No,
Shanti, I was even going to ask Brandon how, even like maybe from the producer perspective, because they're artists and musicians as well.
Yeah,
right?
I was trying to bring Brandon into the conversation.
Yeah, they're really in tune, but they spend a lot of time in the studio, so maybe he can get some insight on what he's seeing with artists and even some of his fellow producers.
I've seen it all.
Certainly. I look at it like this: you have creativity and you have consumption. I think they're so directly related, very yin and yang. You know, and typically when we're trying to get things out of us that we're not too familiar with, you know, like really being naked internally and really being vulnerable. Like I love how Kodie's come in and been so transparent, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes it's hard to do that, because at the end of the day, we're all approval junkies. We all want the pat on the back, you know. So whether that's I want the pat on the back for being a doctor, or for being a producer, for being an artist, for being a good dad, for having money, for looking attractive, whatever it is, I'm gonna cling to that. And so I think these conversations are really important, because it helps people, like Kodie said earlier, realize that there's only one you, that everybody's not going to rock with.
It's fear.
Yeah,
it's fear,
absolutely.
because when you get drunk, no more ego, it's no more pride. So I'm gonna say the words that I wouldn't say when I was sober, because I'm scared to say them, or I'm not gonna walk up. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead,
baby.
It's okay.
He's my guard dog, but he's this big.
No,
but you know, I feel like it's fear. So a lot of times I might take a few shots and say what I wouldn't say if I would just came in sober and didn't smoke a backwood. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like it's like that for everybody. You know what I'm saying? When you it's liquid courage a lot of times.
Can I ask a question to Chris, Brandon, and Kodie? Have any of you all or anyone in your immediate circles ever gone to therapy? Just to go?
I've wanted to go to therapy really bad at one point when I went through a horrible breakup, but I got scared and I skipped my appointment.
What about you, Brandon?
Yes, actually, there's a online program called BetterHelp.com.
Yep.
I actually just joined this summer.
How do you like it?
During the pandemic, I like it. It helps you just to recondition. It helps you get a unbiased perspective.
I think. Wait, say that again.
So is it BetterHelp.com?
Yes,
It's really dope. They allow you to.
Yeah, they're
What is it called? BetterHelp.com.
And so
Yeah,
they allow you to put in what you want.
I went through like a super traumatic thing, and then I started to feel like, dude, therapy should be free for people at least once a year. Like, it's like, and I think like, okay, good. We're pretty much all Black here. When we say we need therapy, they like, we got problems. But if a white person said they need, well, if a Caucasian person said they need therapy, it's regular. And I feel like we need, our generation, our culture, we need to normalize therapy. That's a big thing for me that I felt like we need to.
Yes, Kodie, yes.
Like it's okay to talk to somebody about your feelings and just tell them, and just, he's unbiased. He don't care. It's okay.
So let me tell you, Kodie. So my dad took his own life. He killed himself when I was a baby.
I'm sorry for that.
Thank you. And I came close to taking my own life in 2015, which is why I started this organization.
And I'm happy you did it.
Thank you. And I'm alive to sit here and kick it with y'all this evening because I understood the importance of getting help. And because I come from the music business, I used to be head of marketing for a bunch of labels, Kodie. And so this conversation tonight, and I'm so glad that Jen from MusiCares and Recording Academy is doing this. And this is one of the most real and authentic talks I think we've had in quite some time.
Yeah, like I am down, like
I'm just grateful that y'all are talking about it, because this is what I need y'all to understand, and then hopefully take it back into your peers in the community. Hold on, I just want y'all to know that therapy is not just for white people, right? But it's something. But it's something I heard, Kodie. I'll be 50 in February, but it's something that I was told growing up, that therapy is just for white people, which is, that's ridiculous. It's for anyone. But
back then everything was
trauma though, with our community and all the high-paced energy and all the condescending, bosses and managers. And
therapy should have just been for Black people.
Deal with in music, it's a lot.
Therapy should have just been for Black people.
Well, I won't say that, but
but that's what the words should have been. That's what they should have been saying.
Yeah,
that's what they should have been saying.
That's right.
But I definitely, feel like I got scared, and I said, I'm going to try it tomorrow, and I need to stop. Our generation needs to stop doing that too. Stop saying we're going to do it tomorrow and do it today. So I'm going to get on that website. What is it again?
Before we do that, hold on, because that's
No, I'm not getting off. I'm just letting y'all know. I appreciate y'all.
I want Dr. Gay, though, to just talk about the benefits of therapy, even when something isn't wrong. I just want y'all to understand, and everybody that's listening in and viewing right now, just
let's do it.
The benefits of therapy. Because sometimes, we all just want to go to therapy when something is wrong. But what I want us to do is make it a lifestyle, right? Therapy is a lifestyle, right? Make it a part of your culture, part of everyday life. So talk to us, Dr. Gay, about that.
I can be honest with you, like being a therapist was probably the best thing that ever happened to me as a Black man. And the reason why is because I've been able to, not only unpack so many different things for myself, but I've been able to learn. For me, it's like a personal and a professional learning space, every time I meet with someone. So, even if I'm, sharing some personal narratives or maybe like a lesson from my mom or something like that, to be able to connect with the client, we are just able to understand and identify so many different areas in our childhood, in our adolescence, even in our young adulthood, just where we went wrong, and how like sometimes we may be making this, our inner child may be making grown adult decisions for us, right? We have to pay attention to sometimes where trauma comes from, how we packed it away, pushed it away because we don't want anyone to know those sides of us, those parts of us. Therapy really, it has helped me to understand literally what I just said. There's some things that may have happened in my childhood or even, my past, to where
you didn't even realize.
You almost forget about it because it was that traumatic. Yes, subconsciously, yeah. It just kind of just, it goes to a place of extinction.
To bounce off of what you said, I feel like as growing up, I realized like, man, it might be some things that I don't quite remember, or some little things that were said to me that made me feel weird for the rest of my life.
Right.
Like I'm gonna keep it all the way real with y'all because I want to be authentic. I came out to I love my dad. I love my dad. I came out to my dad. I didn't even come out to him. He made me come out at around like 16. And he walked in my room and brought me a Bible scripture about how I was an abomination. And that bothers me today.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it. You know what I mean? I didn't realize it, but it does.
That was traumatic for you, though.
That was,
Exactly.
I called my mom and said, come get me.
Yeah.
I haven't slept at his house since, and I am 22 now.
And even something as simple as that, if like, let's just say we were in session right now, you know, I would even maybe explore like just, you know, your history of relationships with guys, and just if there's any correlation or connection with how your father, how your dad, you know, really kind of came at you with something so sensitive. It's kind of seeing if that had any type of impact on your young adulthood, you know, so even just right there.
It definitely had an impact on our relationship, so it had to have an impact on our adulthood, or my adulthood, yeah. Because like I say, I love him so much, but I don't think he understands fully, you know, how he made me feel that day. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't completely know how to communicate that to him.
Yeah.
That's why I think therapy could be a good thing.
That's why I need therapy.
Yeah.
All Black people need therapy.
We're gonna make sure that before we get off this discussion that we leave a ton of resources and ways that you can access it. I want to go back to Bandon real quick, and then Christopher. Can you talk about more in terms of creatives rather, Bandon, shifting the culture and normalizing this conversation, just like we're doing today with you and Kodie and Christopher, and everybody that's viewing right now, because you guys for real are the future. We're doing this work to set y'all up, because like Kodie said, we don't know what the next 20 years is going to look like, what it's going to look like for artists in the business. We do have hope, right, that you'll still be out there.
That's all we can have is hope.
Creative, but Bandon, talk about your age demo, right, and the young folks really shifting this narrative and the culture around mental health.
I'm going to stand up for 1 second, but I promise.
No worries.
Certainly. I think it all boils down to representation. I think that's so important across the board with anything. And so, like for instance, I remember when I was growing up, my elementary school, I was maybe one of 7 Black kids in my grade. My middle school was completely opposite. It was maybe like 70% Black people. And so elementary school, I wasn't Black enough. I mean, I wasn't white enough. And then I get to middle school and it's like, wait, why you talk white, for being articulate and stuff like that. And so, Kanye maybe around 2003, I guess he drops College Dropout, and while everybody's wearing white tees and stuff, here comes this guy with, a pink polo and talking about self-esteem and stuff. And so that, without that in my life, I wouldn't think it was possible to be this. So now I think if we look at it, the conversation is happening a lot more. I think that we have to realize too that the brain is a muscle.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times we think we can just make the choice and then it just happens. And that it'd be the same thing as like saying I'm going to do 50 push-ups tomorrow and now I'm going to be swole for the rest of my life.
It's not how it works.
You have to continue to do day in and day out and recondition and
that's
unlearn.
Crazy. To bounce off of that, I could only do like 5 push-ups when quarantine started. I could bust out a 25 now, but I thought I could just do push-ups every day and I'm gonna be strong. Right. And then I realized, okay, but what about my stomach?
Right.
And the same thing with mental health, like you're saying, Bandon. Like that's not the case. That's why you need to get help.
Yeah, you gotta
keep talking.
You gotta be consistent. You gotta be consistent about it. You gotta be consistent with it.
Christopher, let me ask you, as a manager, what is the biggest challenge you think facing Black artists and musicians around mental health right now and stigma?
I think it's the pressure to create when the world around you isn't giving you inspiration to create. Right. Again, most of these artists, we have signed artists and the world is looking to you to say something. And what are you drawing from? Where's your inspiration? Where the places that you draw from, even if it's the club or the nightlife, you can't even go outside. What are you really drawing from? And that continuous pressure, I think, is a large challenge. And I think there's also, as we talked about, that stigma around mental health. Artists, and especially Black artists, have this facade that they keep up that I am this and I show no weakness. I am a star, so I can't show you, or I can't even talk about developing myself. I can't even talk about bettering myself because that's not what got me here, right? And while they have more pressure than most people, they have more pressure to entertain and to step in or to create when the world is not. So I think those two challenges are almost insurmountable for some artists. It's like you have to continue to create in a world that isn't giving you anything, and
Literally,
you're not allowed to
because like
talk. You're not allowed to talk about.
I'm not even trying to cut you off, but dude, you just said it. Like I got this studio, and it's set here for 3 weeks because
It's hard.
people think it's way easier to just. I mean, I could get on a song and make it sound good and make you dance to it, but can I make you feel something?
Right.
So it's like sometimes, like I said to my brother the other day, you can have a camera all day, but if you don't get on there and use it every day, you just got a camera. You know what I mean? So it's like, although I went through this weird stage where it was like, I just don't want to record. I'm not getting anything from the world. I'm like, what's happening in the world? What, and then I just made it a point like, all right, let me get on this studio every day. Like it's a job. You know what I'm saying? Let me try to get on this studio every day. And it's still just as hard because music is emotion. Music is what you feel. Like music is right then, right there. Like, so like, you're right about that.
Yeah, that's why it's important to take care of your emotional health and wellness. And I do think, Christopher also, there's a lot of pressure from record companies when they find that an artist is suffering and actually may have a mental illness that is very hush hush and don't nobody want to tell nobody. You can't tell this person, and not shout it to the world because that's someone's private information. But you need the team to come together, right, to give the person the help that they need. Brandon, I see you shaking your head. You have anything to add to that?
I think you're on mute, but I think people come together too late.
Yeah.
Like, I think people watch the artists dig themselves into a hole. We can look at the examples we've seen and we know, from the Motown artists to Eminem to Chance the Rapper. It's like these are people who are, we know them to make a certain kind of music and make it a certain kind of way because they're under an influence or they're dealing with all these things in the world. And then when they say, oh, I don't want to live my life like that anymore, we criticize them. Mm-hmm. Like Chance the Rapper made an album about being happy, about being sober, about,
and they hated it.
And people
and being in love with his wife.
Being in love with his wife.
That's because they want to hear about Birkins and they want to hear about WAP.
People shamed him. So it works two ways. One, artists have to get comfortable changing, developing, and showing people who they are.
For real.
Consumers have to understand that people are allowed to change. One of my favorite quotes is that people change and forget to tell you.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that artists have to be real with themselves. If you're changing, you not only have to tell other people, but you also have to tell yourself, like, I'm not who I was that album ago, or
like I feel like I'm not who I was yesterday with this hair.
And you don't have to be.
And I'm not. I'm not.
People are going to expect something from you, but you don't have to be that.
Yeah.
And once we all get comfortable understanding, we don't have to be that.
Yeah.
That's for everyone.
I think that's one of the biggest things is that people forget that, like, people like Chance the Rapper and artists, we're just regular people. We just are talented as they come. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if he want to make an album about his wife, I feel like we should respect it. Yeah. Because that's how he feel right then.
Can we let Dr. Goodwin chime in on that? Because everything they're saying, right, let's bring it back full circle now to around the care and the wellness and the therapy and how that can really help these artists. And we're not trying to change anything. We don't want to change your creativity. We don't want to change who you are. We just want to make sure that you have the tools to be your best self.
Oh, thank you so much. And I think one of the things that gets complicated in all of these fields with creatives is a lot of creativity comes from pain and challenges. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like you have an entire group of people who are predisposed to have had those things because that's part of what makes them be able to create such dynamic art at times.
That's right.
And getting to a place where I know earlier Chris mentioned the importance of having grace. of how to move through it, and especially in a time like this where there are some people that have this pandemic has hit and they feel like they're the most creative and productive that they have ever been in life. It's like they're like, I'm sitting still, I can do all these things, I can do all the things. And then there are people that just feels a lot heavier.
That's the rich people.
It's not, this isn't something that's really just rich. I even see it amongst my peers and people that some people just feel like this was like the pressure that they just grew. And there are times where people, they're just trying to survive.
To an extent too.
Hmm?
I can feel that to an extent too, honestly. I feel both ways in a way.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that comes out, especially in times like these, that's an undercurrent, which is there are times where people feel multiple emotions simultaneously, but people tend to feel most comfortable when you're in a singular emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're in times like this, especially for a lot of people that are in these kinds of fields, that you're trying to create something that will bring up one emotion while you feel another one. And I think the biggest thing and the reason to engage in these kinds of conversations and empower people to get some help is that, as Shanti and Chris and Brandon and Dr. Gay brought up earlier, is the time to fix things or make things better isn't when you're in a crisis. It's when things are little. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like if you gain 1 or 2 pounds, if you're a guy, you can just quit drinking beer or quit eating fries and you got a 6-pack. Well, it takes a little bit of effort, but it doesn't take a whole lot to lose 1, 2, or 3 pounds.
Right.
If you wait until you got 40 or 50 extra pounds, the amount of effort it's going to take to get it together is going to be very different. Mm-hmm. It's the same way with mental health. The things we can all do to help someone, if it's just a little out of whack, it's really easy. And then that will actually feel fun. Mm-hmm. That'll feel fun to you too while you hang out with us. But when it gets to a point where you're in a crisis where someone can't get out of bed or they feel terrible or they're snapping on every single person or
I'm not gonna lie, I had that type of morning this morning. It was a little rough.
Yeah, and sometimes people get to the point where they just can't function. Well, then helping people get through that takes a lot more energy and effort. So by that time, people have lost productivity. And all these businesses, when you look at the amount of time and money that's lost by people that are suffering from mental health and having difficulties, when you look at these industries, it's about the money. Mm-hmm. Is that if you have someone that is on payroll or that is working that is having mental health issues and can't be productive, well, then they're not moving things forward. Mm-hmm. So if you look at an artist, if an artist is feeling horrible and they can't create and they can't perform because they're so depressed or they're so anxious or they're using so many substances, then they can't make their money. They can't do what they need to do to help hold their end of the contract, and everything just falls. So a lot of what I say is there's a book by Nathan McCall. This is when I'm going to date myself. It's called Makes Me Wanna Holla. It came out.
Makes you wanna what?
Makes Me Wanna Holla, but spelled Holla.
Oh, write this down. Makes Me Wanna Holla by
Nathan McCall. And there's a point in it where he says that people don't get mental health checkups like they do. You get a checkup for your regular health, but people don't get mental health checkups. And that's one of the things I love to do is you can see one of us and you don't have to be a mess. You can actually be okay and just be like, hey doc, I just want you to, just check me out. Is everything good? Or is there anything?
What if we did some one-on-one calls sometimes?
Pardon me?
What if we did some one-on-one calls?
I do those.
She has her own practice, so I'll make sure you have her information afterwards.
Yeah, I'd love to do that because like I have a habit of holding things in until they explode.
And that's what she was just talking about. Is not waiting till things, and we all do that though, right? We all do it.
We all do.
But to your point, Kodie, if we can start dealing with that stuff
sooner,
then that can put us on the road, to mental wellness and again being our best self.
And I wanna say that I genuinely appreciate you for even putting this together because this is important for a lot of people.
Thank you. And we're gonna keep this going. I just want y'all to know, I
want to be a part of it.
This is one of the realest conversations. I gotta tell y'all. I mean,
that's why I said I want to be real with y'all.
You being candid, Kodie and Brandon and Christopher. and I appreciate our professionals on the call today. This is super important. I want to shout out Jennifer from MusiCares, who's on here, who put this together. Obviously, we put it together.
Thanks, Jennifer.
And then I want to shout out Harold from MusiCares, who's listening.
Harold!
We got to keep having these conversations because keeping it all the way funky, I'm dating myself using that term, all the way funky. A lot of people are suffering, y'all, especially in music, around mental illness, around substance abuse, and we want to help.
Can I be a part of this?
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, I'm in every conversation.
I'm gonna talk to Maddie. We're gonna get it going. We're gonna make this thing happen, and we're gonna save some lives. And we're gonna
help with it because they need some saving.
Yes.
And I don't want to see no more legends die.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Hear, hear. I want to thank everybody for their transparency and just vulnerability. And I think, Shanti, you're right. This was a dialogue, and this is what has to happen.
Jennifer, hi. I didn't even see
Sometimes we skate around this, and I thank Kodie for just jumping right in and really letting us know that it's okay to talk about.
I told you I got this new hair. It's a new me. I want to be 100% real. Everything I say is real. I told y'all my girl broke my heart, did me dirty, couldn't record for weeks, bro, because I was just like, I needed therapy.
Well, we're going to get you somebody to talk to. Don't worry. I mean, we got people on the call, and we got a ton of other amazing clinicians. We'll find you the right person, but we're going to make it happen. Would you like to say anything to this, Dr. Gay? I know you've been shaking your head agreeing.
I've been over here in the amen corner, just agreeing with a lot of what you all were saying. I think Kodie said something that was really important, probably about 5 minutes ago, speaking from the artist perspective, and just saying that, actually, Chris said it, and then Kodie jumped in. He was just saying that, the record label has expectations of you contractually, right? But then, the world, your fans, people on social media have an expectation of you as an artist, that you're always on, you're always in character, you're always presenting yourself and giving them what they need from you. But you're never really given that opportunity or that space to just be yourself as a person. If you go out, you are, it's almost kind of like that double-edged sword. It's that celebrity that comes with being a musician that will give you a little bit of a lifestyle that you want, but it comes at a very high price.
So what I try to do, I'm not trying to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I'm just bouncing back from what you said. What I try to do is do everything, because I don't want to put myself in this box. And then when I get, baby, when I get out of this box, they mad at me. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But even now,
I want to do everything. You know what I mean?
And so then what happens with that is then you end up making yourself like a superwoman, right? And so it's difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult. Yeah. So my whole point about that was, it does put, especially those about, our people that's in that space of working in the entertainment industry, the quickest and the easiest thing to do is to self-medicate, because that may actually draw you back to that source of pain in which you can create. So it's an unhealthy practice.
It's like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then, like y'all said, when Chance just wanted to, talk about some positive things or some healthy things, his fans and just society kind of threw it right back at him. So it's almost like it's a reflection of where society is, because misery loves company, right? So they identify with the unhealthy parts of the artist, but don't want to identify with the progress and the healthy trend, but yeah, that's pretty much the healthy progress, and moving forward. And so it does place artists and those that work in the industry in a really tough place, and going back to what they said, or where the world right now is not even giving them what they need to do what it is they need to do.
Thank you.
Question, in these chats down here, these are all the websites?
Yeah.
BetterHelp, So True, Dr. Goodman.
And we're going to leave, I'll make sure that we email them out, and then
I took a picture of them.
Yeah, you can take a picture, but I'm gonna make sure you get them as well via email, and that Maddie gets them. So a little bit of housekeeping. We have about 24 minutes left. If anyone that's watching right now has any questions, go ahead and start putting them in the chat section, because we do want to take some of your questions if you have any for any of the artists or executives or licensed professionals that are on the chat. And also, I want to talk about self-care and wellness, right? Because we want to be able to leave people with healthy ways to cope and different things. And so I'll start with you, Brandon. What does self-care look like for you? And then we'll throw it to Dr. Goodwin.
This discipline, short answer. I think discipline is the greatest form of self-love. It's something I'm still working on currently. But just the discipline to do things when you don't feel like doing it, to talk to the therapist even when you get scared, to discipline, I think, is the shortest, concisest answer for that.
And what do you do for wellness? Like, do you work out? Do you like getting outside? Do you swim? Do you hike?
I need to work out more. I'm drinking more water these
I'm
days.
trying to get into the workout and I'm drinking my water, so I feel you. It's hard.
Drink less alcohol.
I know, it's a jab.
And I'll be honest with you. When I was in the business, like y'all, going 100 miles per hour, working 7 days a week, all day, every day.
Oh, I'm having a drink.
I never even talked about self-care. It wasn't a thing. And so now I'm just glad that people are doing more for themselves. Because
you don't even have the time to think about it when you're moving 100 miles per hour.
You gotta make time. Like this, if y'all don't learn one thing, is therapy is a good thing, and you gotta make time for yourself. Because guess what? If any of us on this, God forbid, something was to happen to us, the business will still keep going. And I never told myself that. I thought I meant so much to the label. And I respect what I did and how they respected me.
Just like rest in peace to all the fallen soldiers like Juice and Pete, but they still going.
That's my point. That's why you gotta take time for you.
Yeah.
Artists and creatives and executives, you gotta make time for yourself.
Yeah, my mom just told me this.
Talk about self-care and why it's so important for this community.
My mom just told me I need some time. Solitude is where I find my power. It's power in being alone. It's power in letting go.
Dr. Goodwin.
If I had to make it very quick, I'd say the first thing is scheduling is key, is being intentional with taking care of yourself. So we all tend to do things better if we actually have scheduled and planned them. So the first thing I'd say is, just like you would schedule a meeting, schedule a phone call, schedule a session, you need to schedule in whatever you do for you, be it time for yourself to do something you enjoy, even if it's only a few minutes, time to talk to your loved ones, when you may eat, when you may exercise, and schedule it. You have to put yourself on your own schedule. You need to prioritize yourself like you prioritize other people. The next thing is, there's power in, Chris already did my grace speech, so I don't have to give it. But I think at this point, one of the things that's key right now is acceptance, that there are going to be a lot of things that we can dictate, and we're very in control of ourselves. So remembering that you do have some control, it's not out of control, but there's some things that are just is. I have a good friend, she calls it isness, that it just is. There is a pandemic. None of us on here are about to all of a sudden magically make COVID-19 go away.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
None of us magically right this second are going to get the cop that shot Breonna Taylor in jail. And none of us are immediately going to make all of this be over. So kind of getting to a point where you can, it doesn't mean you're giving up or you're not trying, but it means not being stuck in woulda, coulda, shoulda, or I wish it was this way. Because then all you're going to be is perpetually frustrated and attract all that negative energy if all you're thinking about is losses. I can't tour, I can't hang out with my friends, we be having this birthday party that we're not having, and you're thinking about everything you can't do.
Mm-hmm.
You should be
all you're going to do is bring more negative energy. And the last thing is, there's a book, I'm a big reader, and the audiobook is really good. There's this gentleman his name is Hal Elrod. There's a book called The Miracle Morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it talks about this phenomenal way to schedule your morning. And it can work no matter how your hours is. If you're someone that you tend to do late nights,
mm-hmm.
and your morning is at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, that's when you would do it. It's when you start your day. Mm-hmm. But it gives this wonderful way to structure the beginning of your day that is really proven to give results as far as not only self-development, increased energy, better health, and productivity. And it's an amazing book. I highly recommend it. And the audiobook is just as good as the read if people prefer.
So Make You Holler, and what's the other one?
Can you type those in the chat?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll make sure, and then you can take a picture of it.
I got them in my notes. I'm ready.
I love it. So I want to go to you next, Christopher. Can you talk about, like, wellness and self-care, and as a manager, as a tour manager, have you thought about this, and are you implementing anything for the people that you represent as well as your own personal life?
I choose comfort these days, like in everything. Like if it's an uncomfortable situation, I'm going to try to make it as comfortable as possible.
Mm-hmm.
My home, I want comfortable. The studio should be comfortable. And that doesn't mean we have to be like, oh, I'm about to get drunk or get high, but it will be comfortable. If it's the simple things like the temperature or what you're wearing or what you're like, I am not here for validation, but more so, let's be as comfortable as possible so you can get the best product out of me and the people that I work with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that has helped me so much in the past couple of years. Like, if it's not for me or not working for me, I don't have to have it.
Ooh, you can say
That's
that again.
a lot of people forget that. A lot of people forget they have that power because it's like they feel like I have to get this done, I have to get X, Y, and Z done. And that's true. You do have work to do, but I'm going to be comfortable while doing it. And I think that has been my biggest takeaway from my self-care, my mental health journey is like, learn how to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And while you're saying yes, make sure you're comfortable.
And then what about, what are you going to implement for the artists that you're working with around here?
We don't have to do that. Like, everything isn't worth the check that comes along with it.
Gotcha.
If you're not comfortable doing this, Brandon will tell you it's shit that we talk about on the group text with Deontay, and it's like, if you're not comfortable, bro, we don't have to do this. Period. Like, if it's an artist and we're on the road, hey, and there are artists will tell me, hey, I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. And I'll give them the whys and the why nots. And if you're not comfortable, we don't have to do that. Mm-hmm. We don't live in a world where you have to do anything. That's People right. can frown upon it all you want, but it's not make or break. It's usually some shit that the fans really don't care about that much. Mm-hmm. It's usually some shit to like kiss ass for a publication or something. So it's like, we don't have to do that. Like, say no, be comfortable in your yes, be comfortable in your no. And let's do that. Let's get the work done. It's not giving an excuse to be lazy.
Yeah, like, I'm not trying to cut you off, but just like bounce back off to that. I have a big procrastination problem. Me and my generation, we always say we could do it tomorrow, mm-hmm. or we'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it in a minute, and we never do it. And I'm guilty of that. You know what I mean? So I definitely agree.
I think more artists in this generation would be apt to doing more if they were comfortable.
Mm-hmm. If they were comfortable. And then Instagram makes it less comfortable because you have to be this person and you don't know if you can truly be yourself.
Yeah, we ain't even really gotten into social media yet. Woo.
Yeah.
Right. That's for the next talk. That's for the next episode. That's a long talk.
It really is. We're going to touch on it right before we end, though. But there is a question from Harold. I'm going to throw this to Dr. Gay. Can you speak on the loss of identity when the touring is over and it's just yourself alone? And for those, who suffer through that symbolic loss, right, of identity.
Yeah. It's a parallel that's drawn between like music artists, the celebrity that comes with being a music artist, and also the celebrity that comes with being like a professional athlete, right? So it's like that. It's like the fifth quarter, when you score the last touchdown, when you walk away from the game. A lot of those folks are still very young people, 23, 24, 25 years old. Everything about them as a person, as a human being, as an individual, from when they were younger was built up within their talent, and how there's some special attention that's given to those that have a talent that, a lot of money is in those industries. And so what happens typically when that person is no longer on the stage, there's a lot, it goes back to that isolationism, as people may often say, who's really here for me as a person? They may love, Beyonce, but they really know me as Beyonce knows, as the little girl, that, had to go through this struggle or et cetera, right? It's that struggle that we have with, do we really want that anymore? Do we really want to continue to be given to the world and the world may not necessarily be giving that back to us? And so people like that find themselves in that space, it's very important for them to have a very strong, when I say strong, I mean a strong support system of individuals that may be, with them as they're doing business, but also people that know them as that person, as that individual before they became a music artist or someone that, has like some celebrity behind their name. just so
But
that they
wait,
can,
and let me interject. But even think
okay,
about some of the artists now, right, who have this loss of identity because the touring is over right now because of COVID, and they've
right,
been just jump starting their career, right? So they may
right,
not have a lot of people around them that are, you know, supporting them like that, you know, and
right.
touring was their life, right? So kind of speak to that as well.
You know, it's a difficult thing, you know, because what happens when you find yourself in trouble, that's when you really, you know, understand who your friends are and who your loved ones are, who genuinely have your best interests at heart, you know, because the people that we tend to have around us, they're there because of where we're at in life, you know, but it can be very hard when that support system or your homies or people that are just with you all day, every day, you know, in times of need, they may not be there. However, you'd be surprised. A lot of circles, a lot of people do have gatekeepers that are in their lives, and gatekeepers are like someone that, you know, really kind of understands who they are as a person and can notice the shift in their thoughts or the way they're talking or their behavioral patterns. They can kind of say, hey man, listen, you know, I've noticed some things changing, and, you know, let me know if I can be of help to you. Let me know if you want to talk about anything. It's those people that are typically around that are observant, and it's very important for those, you know, individuals that are music artists to have, you know, a gatekeeper in their life, so that if they find themselves in a tough place, that gatekeeper can access some resource, maybe listen to a conversation like this, maybe on Instagram, scrolling through some things, and may try to, you know, maybe able to get that person connected. But, you know, the feeling of loneliness, you know, and the feeling of you know, not necessarily having that same, you know, celebrity or people that are really kind of showing them love consistently, it could be a very sad, lonely place for some of our music artists. And, you know, that's why we're kind of having these conversations, to bring these thoughts together to see how we can, us as practitioners, can fill that void and fill that gap for them.
Thank you, Dr. Gay. Dr. Goodwin, anything on that, on symbolic loss of identity and you know, just what has been kind of upended in people's careers right now with the pandemic?
Well, I think Dr. Gay said so much that was excellent. And one of the biggest things is just remembering the context that loss comes in so many different forms. A lot of times people think of loss as death, but just remembering that there are so many types of losses in the midst of this loss of identity from the shifts in what you may be doing professionally. People, and naturally, there's some things that are universal. It doesn't matter if you're the person that has the truck, like the hand truck carting stuff across, that's equipment, or the person that's an artist, and everyone has relationships. Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing is this particular time period, either from how people are managing just their emotions, because this is such a new period, or just from the change of circumstances where people are now no longer as mobile, they're all kind of together, that people are seeing shifts in relationships. They may even have losses in relationships where there are people that they were partnered with that's just not working in this environment, either due to how things are shifting, how their identity is shifting, or just the fact that sometimes a relationship is really good when everything is good. And it's not so good when it's either not as great, or some folks don't do as well in the same space.
Yeah.
That they do well when people are busy and they're out and they're traveling and they're touring and other kinds of things. And then when it's to a point where everyone is together all the time, and that is difficult. So I think it's just important to keep in mind to seek help and take care of yourself in the midst of so many of these different types of losses.
Thank you. One of the things I want to add that I do personally right now for self-care is I set boundaries, y'all. I didn't used to be that girl. I would let anybody call and text me any time of the night. I was there for my artists, you know, bosses, colleagues. Now, if I'm not feeling good or I've had a tough day and my phone rings after 7:30, I might not pick it up. It might go straight to voicemail, and I'm okay with that, unless it's an emergency and I know somebody really needs me. But I have to set healthy boundaries for myself, and I'm unapologetic about it now. And I think it's something that musicians, producers, artists, you guys got to know how to set boundaries for yourselves as well, because your time is your time. Now, granted, you have a job, right? And as an entrepreneur, you have this career, but it's important that you take time for yourself and you set these healthy boundaries. Just like even with social media, like, you know how you can comment on somebody's post, but then you get flooded with all the replies to that one comment. That's why now, like, if it's too much, I just delete it. I'm like, I got my thought out there. I got it across. But what I'm not getting ready to let y'all do is invade my timeline.
I hate it.
Especially if it's like a controversial topic. And then you get all the back and forth banter. And some days I'm okay with it, but I'm not going to let you attack me either. So I'm going to set my own boundaries, even for my own page, right? And my own privacy around social media. And so I know we didn't really get into it, but if we can do kind of a round robin, and we'll start with Brandon, go to Kodie, and then Chris, just talk about the importance of social media and mental health and the kind of boundaries that you set for yourself, even when utilizing that platform, which we know we all need in this creative space. Are you on mute?
Yeah, one thing that I practiced recently is making the post and not going to see how many people looked at it. Not going to see what the result of that was. Because, social media feeds that approval junkiness again, and so it's like we're chasing that high. And so if I put this one post up and it gets 500 likes, and now my next one gets 12, I'm chasing that high again. So I think a lot of times it's about putting up the information that's needed and, responding to people, interacting with the people, but not necessarily doing it seeking that approval or that validation. And sometimes just take breaks from social media, like just stop. Don't be on there.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah. I feel like, number one, I'm just going to be all the way honest. Like, social media is the number one problem to our mental health. Honestly, it's one of the biggest things that has contributed to our mental health, because a kid at home in 8th grade is just on the internet looking at all these things he wants and he can't get. So he might just go out and steal for it. He might just go doing whatever he got to do for it. Or, man, I just wish I could get 100,000 likes. I do anything for 100,000 likes. I'll go rob a store for 100,000 likes. You know what I mean? And then once you rob that store, you go back home and you're like, man, I really don't want to be this person anymore, but I had to be this person for this validation. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I don't get notifications from people I don't follow. You know what I'm saying? I don't want any negative on my page. So I know if I follow you, you're not gonna comment nothing negative on my page. You know what I'm saying? And I lost my phone recently, and I caught myself waking up just looking for my phone. Like that was the first thing I was doing. And I hated that. And I realized, like, that's horrible. The first thing I should be doing is thanking God, and I should brush my teeth, and I should have some breakfast. Then I can check my phone. So I was
the same way though, girl.
I know. We all deal with that. So I feel like that's something I'm practicing with. And then again, what you said, I'm not looking at no comments. I feel like, okay, out of everybody in here, I play a different chess game than you guys. If anybody does, Chris plays, somewhat of the same chess game as me, Chris and Brandon, because this is chess. This isn't checkers. You know what I'm saying? So even though I don't want the best Birkin, I have to have it, because they're going to look at me like I don't have nothing if I don't get that Birkin. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's an uphill battle, because, you want to stay true to yourself, but you also want to play the game, which is chess. If you don't play the game, then they think you're not doing nothing. And then if you don't post it, you didn't do it. So it's just like, I don't know, it's an uphill battle. I think that Instagram is making it worse and worse. They're themselves.
And I'm so glad you said that, Kodie. It's almost like a game you got to play, right?
It's a game. It's chess.
And let me tell you, I really, for one, what are you, 21, you said? You just
I'll be 22 next month, yes.
Okay, so I applaud you for just even being a part of this conversation, because if I was even thinking like this at your age, things would have turned out a lot differently for me. Now, I didn't have a terrible life, but I went through a lot of emotional struggles that if I had have known that seeing a therapist or having these kind of conversations at an early age, I wasn't an artist, granted, I was an executive, but I just want to say you're on the right path and that I'm proud of you.
Thank you. And I genuinely appreciate that. And I'm never going to stop. And I want to say that I genuinely appreciate people like you telling me, like, yo, go to therapy. It works.
And let me just say this too, because I don't ever want anybody to hold this against me. Sometimes you might go to one therapist and they might not be the right person for you.
Sometimes you got to find a therapy for
like
you.
Any other doctor or manager or a lawyer or you know, a producer might not be the right fit, whatever. Just don't stop till you get the right person. Because when you get the right one and it's a good fit, it'll change your life in a good way.
I think I want to talk to Dr. Gay or Dr. Goodwin. I'm signing up. I might sign up for both. I like the way they talk.
I'm gonna make sure you have, you know.
Oh, I took a picture. I took my picture.
Okay, good.
I'm
So,
ready.
we didn't talk to you, Christopher, about social media.
Social media is trash. It's
Yo, social media is trash. That's what I wanted to say. It ruined everything.
It's tough. I just watched the Social Dilemma not too long ago, because he posted it in the chat. Social Dilemma is crazy. But it's not set up for us to win. Right? It is a losing game that we wake up and play every day. It has allowed us to have access to people in a way that we've never had before. Just phones in general. Like when I was born in the 90s, so when I was coming up until I was like maybe 12 or 13, if I wasn't at home, you probably couldn't reach me, right? And then we got cell phones, and it was like, okay, well, you can talk to me after 9, but I can't have my cell phone that much longer after 9 because your minutes are free after 9.
Yo, I've had my little brother with me, right? And he's 13. And I was looking at him like at 13, you got an iPhone,
You're locked
AirPods,
in. It's a part of you.
PlayStation, everything.
So
It was different. It was
we
different.
have to find ways to do two things. One, to disconnect from social media in a healthy way. Like, again, you got to play the game. You got to play the
You got to
chess
play the
game.
game, yeah.
You know, you have to let people know what you're doing. But
you got to keep stuff to yourself.
For artists, and this may or may not be true, I don't think we live in the age of the superstar anymore where you have to be unapproachable.
Yeah, except me.
Huh?
I'm that last one. I'm the last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, but even still, like, you can be yourself more so than you could be, I think, in the 90s. In the 90s, you had to be untouchable. Like the artists I think of like Janet and Michael and shit, you had to be untouchable. And that's some of my favorite artists. I want to hang out with them. I don't think I wanted to hang out with Michael Jackson, right? But I think like I could hang out with Tyler, the Creator. You feel me? And I think that's the difference.
Yeah, that's the difference.
That's the difference of what we're looking
like,
at.
I always say that about Beyonce. She's untouchable.
Right. Do you want to hang out with Beyonce though?
Probably.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
But probably because after that 7-Eleven video, I kind of want to hang out.
It's fun sometimes. It's like
I'd rather go with Tyler. I'd rather hang out with Tyler.
Right. I'm gonna hang out with Tyler. He's still a star, but he's somebody who's more approachable than
I think
what
social
we've seen.
media has done that for the younger generations and the younger stars, right? Because the Michaels and the Princes, to your point, there was no level of connectivity, right? To get to
face to face, word to mouth.
It was very different back then, but
they literally were untouchable back then. Like, it was very hard.
It's crazy because like I grew up in that era. I was on the fan mail tour as a baby with my dad. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny. I worked that tour, Kodie. I did marketing for TLC on that tour.
Well, you might have seen me a few times. I was the baby. But I was the baby on the tour. So I grew up around stars. You know what I'm saying? I always thought the it factor. And these days we don't have no more it factors.
Yeah, L.A. Reid used to talk about that a lot. My former.
Yeah, L.A. Reid said that to me. You have the it factor. You know what I'm saying?
I worked with him for 12 years almost.
Yeah, he's the man. I love L.A. Love L.A. But I feel like these days the it factor doesn't matter. That star power. Like, can you walk in the room and make everybody feel you without saying anything? Can you do that? You know? Or are you just in here with a bunch of jury on?
It's different now. Well, guys, it's 7:31. I want to pull this back around to mental health. I have to thank the Recording Academy. I have to thank MusiCares. I have to thank my team, Silence the Shame.
Silence the Shame, I love you.
Anthony, AJ, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gay. Thank you, Dr. Goodwin. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Kodie.
Thank you.
Been an incredible conversation. We are going to keep this going. I think it is extremely important. I want to let everyone know that starting on this weekend, October 3rd October 4th through the 11th is Mental Health Awareness Week. October 10th is World Mental Health Day. So Kodie, I'm gonna talk to your manager because I want you to help do a post for us, if you will, online.
Ooh, I told you, read the captions. I
can tell y'all now because we got our lawyers to do it, but Silence is Shame is launching a storytelling initiative for young people. So it's going to start as social media, but in a positive way. We'll approve the post, but we're starting Young Black and Well and Young Brown and Well. And so it's for Black people 30 and under, young people, so you can express how you're feeling, share positive thoughts.
That's beautiful.
Share information. And so we're getting our ambassadors and our tribe together. And then Young Brown and Well will look at Latinos.
I'll be an ambassador.
Asians. Yes, we want you. I'm telling you. So
I'm telling you, talk to Maddie. Let's figure it out.
A lot more conversations. I want to thank Byron Wright from Epic Records for
my love.
I want to thank Dee Dee Peaches Murray for reconnecting me with Chris and Brandon. And again, this has just been an incredible conversation. I'm going to allow Jennifer Left to say a few words on behalf of the Recording Academy and allowing us to partner again.
I think you said it all. I want to thank all of you, like I said before, for a very authentic, transparent conversation. Rich content. I'm thinking everybody's leaving here with something and armed with new information. And Shanti, thank you for doing a phenomenal job getting the panel together and moderating.
Thank you.
So
and we do have
we're grateful to be partnering with you.
Another panel that we're putting together called Music, Activism, and Mental Health. And we're going to look at the racial injustices and how artists are using their voices as a platform. So that's going to come fast and furious in the next 2 weeks. So, but we'll let you guys know about it.
I'll be
Thanks,
ready.
Everybody.
Thank you, everyone.